And folks, welcome to Fulton-County Stadium. We are in the gem of Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia, for Monday Night Baseball, folks, on Out of the Park Developments. I'm your host, Dr. Dynastic, from the press box, which has been reconstructed. If you have been watching baseball this year, in the year 1993, of course, you know that this press box at Fulton-County Stadium burned down. Had a little fire just as Fred McGriff was about to make his major league debut. His Atlanta Braves debut was a little dinged up in the lineup as he was traded over from San Diego. Had to wait a little bit. Wasn't quite 100%. And then, well, the day that he would make his debut, the press box here in Atlanta caught fire. So let's see who is going to catch fire here. Two future Hall of Famers squaring off. There are multiple Hall of Famers beyond these two, but our spotlight tonight is on Fred McGriff and Scott Rowland. It is time to play some baseball here today at Atlanta Fulton-County Stadium. Dynastic matchup between the St. Louis Cardinals and the Atlanta Braves. Showdown of the Hall of Famers. And here's a 2-2 pitch. Grounder to short. Eckstein is out. 6-3 on your scorecard as Jeff Blauser, not known for his defense, known for his bat, makes the play at short. And there's one down. Let me know in chat where you're watching from. I'd love to get to know you. We are right now in Atlanta. We are from the super secret lockdown bunker in the Pacific Northwest, the Dynastic Studios. Let me know where you are in chat. We'd love to get to know you and get to know you a little bit more on a more intimate level, if you will. All right, Chris Duncan now at the plate. Duncan, by the way, last major leaguer to hit a home run at Bush Memorial Stadium back on October 2nd, 2005. Of course, he and the Cards in 2006. Breaking in the new building with a pretty nice season. 83 wins to win the NL Central. Folks coming in from St. Louis, Garnack's going to love this matchup, at least we hope. Other folks coming in from Oklahoma City, Detroit metro area. Red Sixer fan from his computer desk. Haven't heard that one before. Boise, Idaho. Brent, welcome from the Gem State, the Treasure State, I should say. Which one is which? I can't remember. One or the other. Richmond, Virginia. Lowry, 6850 coming in hot. And outside the Chicago area as well. Gem State it is. And the Phoenix area. All right, so here we go. Good to see you guys here for this one. Well, in case you're wondering, Chris Duncan is from Tucson, Arizona. Got some Arizonans in the house. Chris Duncan at the plate from Canyon del Oro High School. A first-round supplemental pick back in 1999. And here he is taking on the great Greg Maddux. Full count pitch on the way. Payoff pitch taken for ball 4. So Greg Maddux, with that impeccable control, surrenders a one-out walk to Chris Duncan. Of course, Maddux having a fantastic year. Came over from Chicago. 5-year contract, $28 million. Well, $28 million got you a lot in the year 1993, did it not? All right, speaking of money, here is Albert Pujols. Ratings out of control on the man they call the machine. 70 contact, 70 power, 80 avoid Ks. He can do it all, Albert Pujols. Will he throw a Maddux today? We'll have to wait and see. Will he throw a complete game in fewer than 100 pitches? Maddux will pitch from the stretch. Duncan on first. Albert Pujols at the plate. 2-2 pitch. Swung on. Hit to left and caught out and left by Gant. What a grab. Ron Gant got a bead on that one. Another look at this replay brought to you by Ezra Denny. OTP After Dark brings you drops, dumb jokes, no Dodgers, and Daddy Wags. Come stay up late with OTP After Dark. A web gem indeed. So Pujols is robbed of extra bases. That had double written all over it. Duncan having to retreat back to first. And here comes Jim Edmonds. Edmonds, former longtime Anaheim Angel. In fact, grew up just not far from Anaheim Stadium. That's where his father lived, just a few miles away. Anaheim Stadium. Went to Diamond Bar High School, 7th round pick back in 1988. Jim Edmonds at the plate, 1 on, 1 out against Maddox. And the Mad Dog induces the ground ball out to first unassisted. There's the crime dog. Fred McGriff, 1 runner stranded as we head to the bottom of 1 in Atlanta. And let's introduce our starting lineups, brought to you by Hertz Donut. Defensively for the St. Louis Cardinals, winners of the NL Central, beating the San Diego Padres in the NLDS 3-1. Then the Mets in the NLCS 4-3. And then the Detroit Tigers in the World Series 4-1. Their defense here tonight for the 06 Cards. Preston Wilson in left. Jim Edmonds, the Gold Glover, out in center. The young up-and-comer Chris Duncan in right. Around the horn we go for the Cards defense. Scott Rowland, David Eckstein, Aaron Miles, Albert Pujols, and Yadi Molina behind the dish. He will catch tonight for Chris Carpenter. Chris Carpenter is on the hill from Exeter, New Hampshire. Boy, if you want to see a complete game, Chris Carpenter, one of the best in the biz. Last year, led the National League complete games with 7. Then this go-around in 06, 3 shutouts to lead all National League pitchers. And yes, please, can we get some more Jose Canseco? Someday, Ezra, someday. All right, offensively for the Atlanta Braves here on their home field in Atlanta. Otis Nixon, your leadoff man. Got a little pop in the number 2 spot, the shortstop, Jeff Blauser. Ron Gant, who had that magnificent diving catch in left, he'll bat third. And then the crime dog, future Hall of Famer Fred McGriff. Sounds so good, doesn't it? Fred McGriff batting cleanup. He'll be followed by David Justice, Terry Pendleton, Damon Berryhill, Mark Lemke, and the pitcher Greg Maddux will bat 9th. Chris Carpenter will pitch from the windup here against Otis Nixon. Otis signed with the Yankees back in 1983. Made his way over to Cleveland. Played for a few years with the Indians before moving north of the border to Montreal, playing for the Expos from 1988 to 90. And here he is since 1991, an Atlanta Brave. Nixon, first pitch offering to Otis. He's going to try to bunt for a base hit. Throw to first will not be in time. So he legs it out. Let's take a look at that replay. It's being brought to you by the 5280 DeMoss. And boy, did he motor down that line. Molina's throw, it looked like there was a little bit of hesitation between Yadi Molina and Chris Carpenter. So Molina unable to get the throw down the line in time. So Otis Nixon on first, and watch out, folks. Some fun facts about Otis Nixon. First of all, 47 stolen bases this year, and holds the record, tied the record for most stolen bases in a single game. Swiped 6 bags back in 1991. And his 72 steals in 91, still to this day an Atlanta Braves record. He's on first. Carpenter pitching from the stretch against Jeff Blauser. First pitch to him, runner going, throw down to second, and Molina gets him this time. So Yadi couldn't get him on that bunt attempt, but Yadi gets the last laugh. Another look at that replay brought to you by Podman 19. That guy has got some wheels, but that kid Yadi has himself an arm. So Nixon taking off the base pass, and now the bases are clear for Jeff Blauser. On the 1-1, Blauser, base hit to right. Past the second baseman, it scoots through for a base hit. So Jeff Blauser with a single. Boy, Nixon could have been on third on that one. And Blauser now on first. The organ's fired up here. Packed house at Atlanta Fulton-County Stadium. Well, I say packed house. We've just got the attendance figure here, and apparently there's only 19,462 people here. They have something better to do? Where are you, Atlanta? A lot of empty seats out here. Guess they're waiting for that new ballpark. Maybe they got a little put off by the fire here in the press box. I'm here. The press box caught fire. You don't see Dr. Dynastic hanging out at home. Come on, Atlanta. Show up for your team. Playing up against the 2006 Cardinals. What are we doing? Ron Gant now at the plate with Jeff Blauser at the plate. Ron Gant being mentioned in the same breath as Willie Mays and Bobby Bonds. Why? Well, Ron Gant in 1990 and 91, back-to-back 30 seasons, 30 home runs, 30 stolen bases. Only other players ever to do that in back-to-back seasons, the aforementioned. Say hey, Willie Mays and Bobby Bonds. 1-2 pitch on the way from the stretch. Gant looking at strike three. Looking at a fastball right down Broadway. Game's first strikeout being brought to you by Chess Safari. Experience the ultimate getaway. Book your trip today with the world leader in board game themed safaris, Chess Safari. All right, so Blauser remains on first, and now here comes Fred McGriff. Came over from San Diego, mid-season trade. What did the Padres get in return for a future Hall of Famer? Vince Moore, Donnie Elliott, and Melvin Nieves. Really? 3-1 pitch to McGriff. McGriff takes it low for ball four. Blauser to second. And Atlanta has something going here. 2 on, 2 out for David Justice. Congratulations to David, by the way, marrying Halle Berry this year, 1993, on New Year's Day. I give him 2 years. McGriff on first, Blauser on second, and David Justice on the 2-2. Grounder to second, and that will do it. So the Bravos strand 2 at the end of 1. We are scoreless on Monday Night Baseball. All right, up for inning number 2 in Atlanta. And we got a good one here, folks. Battle of 2 recent Hall of Fame inductees. Fred McGriff and Scott Rowland. Rowland will lead off here as we start the second inning. Scott Rowland, known for his defense, Gold Glover. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But now in his 4th full season in St. Louis, Scott Rowland, 4 straight All-Star Game appearances. Scott Rowland, boy, does he do it all. Maddox will pitch from the windup here. Ahead in the count, 1-2. Grounder to third. He's going to come in on it. Will Pendleton throw to first? Camera guy's a little bit slow on it, but we can tell you that he does get the out. 1 down. And here comes now Preston Wilson. 9th overall pick by the New York Mets out of Bamberg Earhart High School in 1992. Preston Wilson. Wilson behind in the count 0-2. Hanging curveball. Diving play made by Nixon. So Nixon, using that speed, comes on to make the play. My, oh my. This robbery being brought to you by Attica Online. Visit Attica Online Prison for 5 years, 2 with good behavior. Well, that is a couple of web jams in the outfield. David Justice, the ball is coming to you next, my friend. Ron Gant in the first inning, taking away extra bases from Pujols, and then it's Otis Nixon coming in to make that dandy of a play. Yadier Molina now steps in. Bases empty. 1-2 pitch. Molina goes the other way on the chalk and fair. Rounding first, heading for second, and it is a 2-out double for Molina. Let's have another look at that one. Replay being brought to you by the Tiny Noob, and that was just fair. So it's a 2-out double as St. Louis has its first base hit. Aaron Miles now steps in. Miles coming over in a trade with Colorado, along with Larry Bigby in exchange for Ray King, that right before this 2006 season. Former 19th rounder drafted by Houston in 1995. Aaron Miles at the plate. Miles on the 0-1. Grounder to short. Blauser throws to first, and that'll do it. So St. Louis strands a runner in scoring position, going to bottom of 2 here on Monday Night Baseball. All right, first ever Monday Night Baseball matchup in the history of out-of-the-park developments, and we have got a good one, folks. We have gone to the time machine. We've taken you to beautiful Atlanta Fulton-County Stadium between the 1993 Braves, featuring recent Hall of Fame inductee Fred McGriff in the prime of his career, and the 2006 St. Louis Cardinals and Scott Rowland, who's manning third base here tonight for the Cards. Terry Pendleton at the plate, 1991 NL MVP, and that only one All-Star Game appearance for Pendleton came last year in 1992. But Pendleton here at the plate. Switch hitter, he'll bat from the left side against Chris Carpenter. 3-1 pitch. And he swats that over to the first baseman. Unassisted ground ball out. Pujols manning the bag. He makes the play. And there's one down. That'll bring up Damon Berryhill, former first rounder for the Chicago Cubs back in 1984. Came over with Mike Bielecki to Atlanta for Yorkis Perez and Turk Wendell. So here he is with a new start to his career, the veteran catcher Damon Berryhill. Berryhill behind the count. 2-strike pitch, grounder to short. Nice play by Eckstein, throwing a first. And there's 2 down. And Mark Lemke will get his first plate appearance right now. .252 hitter on the year with 7 home runs. First pitch on the way to Lemke. Lemke swings, going the other way. Grounder to third, and there is Rowland to make the play. And we're rolling along here in Fulton at the end of 2. Scoreless between the 2006 St. Louis Cardinals and your 1993 Atlanta Braves. Our Monday Night Baseball matchup. Every Monday night here at 4 p.m. Pacific, we bring you the game of the week. Butler on the air, first-time chatter, and was streaming out of the park earlier. We decided to bring a crowd of 150 souls onto Butler's broadcast just to say hi. And look at that, now he's hanging out with us. Great to see you guys. Thanks for joining in here today. Chris Carpenter, the pitcher for the Cards. He will now get his first at-bat against Greg Maddux. Chris Carpenter will lead off here in the third. Low-scoring affair. You got 2 aces here between Carpenter and Maddux. And Maddux can field the position pretty well, folks. That ball did not go to him, but watch how quickly he moves down that line to cover the bag. Ground ball out, and look at Maddux right there, ready to go. That is why Greg Maddux is a Gold Glove pitcher. So Maddux pitching from the stretch as we go back to the top of the order. David Eckstein now at the plate. Second straight year that Eckstein has made it into the All-Star game here in 2006. Former Anaheim Angel coming over to St. Louis as a free agent acquisition. .292 hitter on the year. Not known for his pop, but boy is he a fan favorite in St. Louis. Here's the 1-0 to Eckstein. Eckstein, grounder down the line. Nice play by Pendleton as he backhands that one. Throws to first. So the circle change. Grounded down the line. Nice play by Terry Pendleton. We got a couple of Gold Glovers at third. Wonder who's going to win this matchup. You have to put your money on one of those two between Terry Pendleton and Scott Rowland. It'd be difficult, but I think we know where we're going with that matchup. I think we're all going with Rowland, are we not? Here's Chris Duncan now, his second plate appearance. Monster year for Duncan. Look at these numbers. 22 home runs in 280 at-bats in 2006. Folks, that home run to at-bat ratio, trailing only Boston's David Ortiz and Philadelphia's Ryan Howard for most home runs per at-bat in 2006. Chris Duncan at the plate. Duncan on the 0-1 against Maddox. Grounder to first. And this time McGriff says, "Don't worry, my friend. I got it this time. You just jog into the dugout." Unassisted out for McGriff. Heading now to the bottom of 3 in Atlanta. And now it's the other pitcher's turn to hit for Atlanta. It's Greg Maddux at the plate. Maddux will be followed by Otis Nixon, who's on deck, and Jeff Blauser is in the hole. Carpenter pitching very well right now. League leader in complete games last year. Shutouts this year. And how about that 2005 season he had before this year in 06? 21 game winner, 21 wins, 5 losses, 2.83 ERA, 213 strikeouts. But boy, what he did before the All-Star break in 05 last year, something to admire. How about that season? Here's the 3-2 pitch from Carpenter. Grounded to short. Eckstein is there. Uh-oh, dropped by Pujols. We'll see who gets charged the error on that one. This replay being brought to you by Lowry 6850. We're waiting word from the press box here. Now remember, the press box here at Atlanta Fulton-County Stadium, it's a little bit in shambles. We did have a fire here back in July. So I'm actually kind of looking through a hole right now and some drywall. And it looks like the error will be charged, yes, to Eckstein. Thank you very much, official scorekeeper. So it will be David Eckstein. Eckstein charged with the error. Maddox on first for Otis Nixon. Boy, if there ever was a situation for Otis to lay another bunt down, this might be it. Carpenter from the stretch. He will lay down the bunt down the line. Fair ball, and that will move the runner. So he did his job. Ted Turner's got to do something about this situation here in the press box. Kamish understands it. He gets it. We need a professional here. We need a professional. Maddox is on second. That sets the table nicely now for Jeff Blauser. Blauser for a former 4th-round pick back in 1984. And Blauser is behind in the count. 1-2. Blauser swing and a miss for strike 3. That's another chest safari strikeout. So unable to move Maddox. And that brings up Ron Gant. Ron Gant at the plate. Two-one pitch to Gant. He grounds this one to second. And easy breezy after surrendering one base runner. We're going to the third after at the end of 3. Atlanta 0, St. Louis 0. Scoreless on Monday Night Baseball. Folks, we welcome you back here to Atlanta and Albert Pujols. What a year, folks. 49 homers, 137 RBI, 119 runs scored. The model of consistency. But even better than those numbers, perhaps, otherworldly slash line. 331 average, 431 on-base percentage, 671 slugging percentage, and an OPS above 1,000, 1.102. Unbelievably, despite these numbers, Albert not named the National League MVP. He won it last year in 05, was the runner-up this year in 06. Pujols will lead off against Maddox on the 2-2. He grounds to short. One hopper. Blauser is there. Throw to first, not in time. Pujols legs it out. Where did this speed come from? Another look on the replay brought to you by Mr. Masu. Boy, Blauser just didn't put anything on that one. You know you're doing something wrong if you're giving up an infield single to Albert Pujols. And here's Jim Edmonds now. Edmonds hitless so far. And here's a little bit of a fun fact about Jim. This we would call a nickel and dime trade, quite literally. Traded by Philadelphia with Doug Nickel and cash for Placido Polanco, Bud Smith, and Mike Timlin. Who do you think got the better end of that deal? Edmonds looks at that. Sinker's low. Throw to catcher at first. Pujols is back in time. I hate to call out our camera operator here, but can we please get a professional on the camera here? Let's take a look at the replay, see if we can get a better vantage point. Little back pick throw here. Never depend on the camera. If you're a play-by-play announcer, never rely on the camera. You got to use your own eyes. Jim Edmonds remains at the plate here with Pujols on first. Full count pitch. Strike 3, and they throw him down 2. A strike him out, throw him out here. So Edmonds strikes out. Pujols caught swinging. That did not work out very well. And now Roland, who is 0 for 1 at the plate. And yes, can we please get some cotton candy? It is the official currency of Dr. Dynastic. We love our cotton candy. 1-1 pitch, grounder off the mound. There's Maddox fielding the position very well. There's your Gold Glover and Cy Young Award winner, Greg Maddox. Bottom of 4 coming up here in Atlanta. Scoreless on Monday Night Baseball. We welcome you back here now to Atlanta. Still scoreless between the Braves and the Cardinals. Hall of Fame Bash. Fred McGriff will lead off. 2023 Hall of Fame inductee, and has a new friend in Cooperstown, a man who is on third right now, the third baseman Scott Rowland, both inducted in the same year, which is why we are now playing this game today in our first ever Monday Night Baseball matchup. McGriff at the plate. No official at-bat for him here so far. Fred McGriff, first player to lead both leagues in home runs, the American League and National League, did so for both since the start, since the dead ball era. Did it in Toronto, did it again in San Diego. Fred McGriff. He'll lead off here in the bottom of the 4th. He's worked the count full, 3-2. Sharp grounder to the second baseman. Easy play for Aaron Miles. McGriff is retired. And here's David Justice now. Made his major league debut May 1989. You may remember who Justice replaced. The one and only Dale Murphy. Dale Murphy, fan favorite here in Atlanta still to this very day. Murph wound up getting traded to Philadelphia in 1990, making room for the man at the plate right now, David Justice. Speaking of Hall of Famers, I think Dale Murphy needs another push to get him into the Hall of Fame. 1-1 pitch on the way to Justice. Justice, fly ball, center field, and it falls in front of Edmonds. I don't know what, was Edmonds looking at Halle Berry in the outfield? Let's take another look here. Replay being brought to you by Gen Xer 69. He just was not watching the baseball, folks. Maybe Jane Fonda was out there. We don't know. Jim Edmonds was doing everything but watching the baseball there. So Justice is on first, official ruling base hit. And here's Terry Pendleton. Pendleton is 0 for 1. Prime opportunity for Pendleton here as he lifts the one high and deep out to right center field, and it drops in for a base hit. It rolls all the way to the wall. Run comes in to score. Play at third. Not in time. It's an RBI triple for Terry Pendleton. Boy, he got all of that one. So a three-bagger for Pendleton. Peach King SMJ bringing us that replay. And the Bravos are on the board. It's 1-0. So Pendleton now standing on third with Atlanta leading 1-0, and Damon Berryhill at the plate. Berryhill on the 1-0. Base hit up the middle with a base hit. It will fall for a single RBI. The infield was playing in. Berryhill sat on it and drilled it right back up the middle. Here's another look on the replay. Infield in. Base knock up the middle. 2-0 Atlanta. Chris Carpenter now trying to get out of this. He'll pitch from the stretch once again with Lemke now at the plate. Lemke swings at that offering, grounds to second. They'll get the force and on to first for two. It's your double play. Our first double play of the game brought to you by Baseball Dreamland. After the stream, check out Baseball Dreamland on YouTube for OOTP tutorials and unique playthroughs. 4 innings in the books in Atlanta. Braves leading against the Cards 2-0. All right, we are nearing the halfway point of this one, and Greg Maddux is staked now to a 2-0 lead. 2-0 so far. That might just be enough for Mad Dog here, as Maddux, part of a vaunted starting rotation here in Atlanta. Tom Glavine, Steve Avery, John Smoltz. If you were to take the over-under on wins for any of those pitchers, 18, 19, 20, that's around the range. Maddux on the over. He had 20 wins this year. Steve Avery, 18 wins. Smoltz with 15. And leading them all, Tom Glavine, who does not get the start. Tom Glavine, team high 22 wins in the regular season here in 1993. My goodness. Maddux from the windup here against Preston Wilson. Wilson, 263 hitter. Better days probably past Wilson. Peaked in 2003, his lone all-star season. Preston Wilson leading the league in RBI. Inflated statistics, yes, probably in Colorado, in the Mile High City. 141 RBI for the Rockies in 2003. Maddux from the windup against Preston. Wilson gets all of that one. That one is one hopping off the wall. And Wilson motors into second with a leadoff double. Nice piece of hitting there by Preston. So he stands on second with Yadier Molina now at the plate. Molina 1 for 1 so far. Chance to put the Cards on the board, trailing 2-0. First pitch, grounded to third, and Pendleton doesn't even look back the runner. He just throws to first immediately. So that allows Wilson to advance to third with one out. And now it's Aaron Miles. Miles, former Rocky himself, just like Preston Wilson. Fourth in Rookie of the Year voting with the Rockies back in 2004. 293 hitter that year in 134 games. Miles on the 1-1. Grounder down the line and fair. That's going to score a run. He's going to head for a second RBI double. Now makes it a 2-1 ball game. Well, you make the call here. Yeah, absolutely fair. That replay brought to you by Brent3232. Fair ball down the line. RBI double for Miles. And the game-time run now stands on second for the pitcher, Chris Carpenter. Now it's decision time for Tony La Russa, longtime skipper, started in Chicago with the White Sox in 1979. Of course, won a World Series with the Oakland A's in 1989. And now the skipper going to keep the bat in the hands of Chris Carpenter, so he will leave him in, though this is a prime pinch-hitting situation. Of course, we're still only in the fifth inning, as Carpenter hasn't even pitched into the fifth yet, but he will leave Carpenter up in the lineup, and he'll take on Greg Maddux with one on and one out. And he's going to ground to short. That will not move the runner. Oh, it gets away from McGriff. McGriff couldn't make the pick. Another error here. Puts Miles on third, Carpenter to second. Let me look through that hole again here in the press box. They're going to charge it to Blauser. So both the shortstops, Blauser and Eckstein, have now committed errors. This one could be costly. Carpenter on second, Miles on third for David Eckstein, who can really redeem himself here after that error. Eckstein hitless in 2 at-bats so far. Eckstein swings at that offering, and it is a shoestring grab. Boy, I didn't know if Justice got that one. Let's take another look here on the replay, and yes, he did make the catch. And it was quick enough and shallow enough that neither runner could tag up. So Miles remains on third, Carpenter back to second. And now it is Chris Duncan. Duncan with 2 on, 2 out. Maddux looks in for the sign from Berryhill. The 0-2. Grounded to third. That should do it. Pendleton throws it to first, and Maddux gets out of the jam. But a run does come in, heading to the bottom of the fifth in Georgia, with the 1993 Braves still leading by 1, 2-1. Just got a little distracted. I saw a Stratomatic card mentioned in chat, and boy, oh boy, that is the jam. That's the one that got me started. I can now, if my mom is watching, I'm going to admit to her right now on live streaming, yeah, those days in middle school where I said I was sick, Mom, I did you dirty. I was not sick. I was feeling just fine. I was getting my Stratomatic fever. Playing a little 1987 Stratomatic. That's what I was doing. What's that? We have the truancy office on the phone. I guess that's the end of the stream. I've been caught. There's no statute of limitations, I guess, for skipping school to play Strato. Good old Strato skip, as I like to call it. All right, bottom of the fifth right now. Greg Maddux is at the plate. 165 hitter here in the regular season in 1993. Up against Chris Carpenter. 2-1 ball game. Carpenter trying to keep it that way. That pitch, a ground ball, easy play over for Eckstein as Maddux is retired. 1 down. And back to the top of the order, we now go for Otis Nixon. Younger brother Donnell, also a big leaguer, played from 1987 to 1990. Otis Nixon at the plate, the speedster. Been known to drop down a bunt or two. He will not here He'll get the green light. High fly ball center field. Edmonds again staring off into the distance. Didn't move again. What on earth is going on with Jim Edmonds? First it was Halle Berry in the outfield, and now it's Jane Fonda. Just staring out into the bleachers. Another look here on the replay. And keep an eye on Jim Edmonds because he is not keeping an eye on the baseball. So Nixon to second on a double. Carpenter getting no help from his Gold Glove center fielder. Jeff Blauser now at the plate. With Nixon on second. Payoff pitch, 3-2. Here we go. Fly ball, right field, and it falls in for a base hit. Nixon rounding third. Throw cut off, and Nixon will hold up at third. Base hit Blauser. So runners on the corners now for Ron Gantz. Fourth round selection for Atlanta out of Victoria High School in Victoria, Texas. Interesting story about Gant. Hot prospect coming up through the ranks. Had a fantastic start to his major league career, but struggled his second year. And in fact, the Braves decided to send him back down to the minors in 1989. And they wanted him at that point, said, look, you struggled. We want to find a new position for you. Struggled as an infielder. They move him back to the outfield. He relearns that position and really got a sense of his major league game. And boy, did that pay off. Comes back the very next year, 303 average, 32 home runs, and yeah, named the National League Comeback Player of the Year. So there you see those numbers after struggling in 1989. 177 average after a very strong and promising 88 season. And now Ron Gant has turned himself into a perennial starter and middle of the lineup hitter for Atlanta. Runners on the corners for Ron Gant. Chris Carpenter pitching from the stretch. Gant jumps on that offering. Fly ball right field. Runner tagging. Throw home. Duncan gets it in time. As Nixon did not tag up and run. He tagged up, but he did not run after the fact. Maybe not quite deep enough for even the speedy Otis Nixon here. So 2 on now for the man of the hour, Fred McGriff, the crime dog. The nickname coined by Marty Barrett. Of course, we know it better now because of ESPN's Chris Berman, but give credit where credit is due. Marty Barrett coined that phrase, crime dog, for Fred McGriff, who has a chance to deliver with his Braves already up by a run. Carpenter, his pitch on the way, gets away from Molina. A run will come in. So Nixon finally comes in from third. It's a wild pitch on Chris Carpenter to make it 3-1 Atlanta. So Carpenter now trailing by 2. His Cardinals down 3-1. Count 2-2. McGriff goes the other way. Fly ball deep left field at the track and making the catch in the corner there. Lost in the darkness. Another look. How did he come up with that? Take another look. What a grab indeed. Out in left. But at the end of 5, Atlanta still on top. It's 3-1. Yeah, that replay really added a little new dimension on the replay, right? It gives you a new vantage point. Nice play, nonetheless, by Preston Wilson. So we welcome you back here to Atlanta as we are an hour and 12 minutes into this one. Albert Pujols leading off now, the 6th inning for St. Louis, trailing 3-1 against Greg Maddux. Pujols, just the American dream. grandmother, America Pujols, raised him in the Dominican Republic. They moved to America, yes, the United States, continental U.S. in 1996, New York City. 2 months after that, made their way to the Show Me State, specifically Independence, Missouri. So the red, white, and blue pumping and coursing through the veins of Albert Pujols, his grandmother, America, and then he moved to Independence, Missouri. Great American dream, Albert Pujols. Pujols with a little lazy liner to Lemke. Second baseman makes the grab, and Pujols is retired. Now it's Jim Edmonds' turn at the plate. Edmonds is 0 for 2 tonight. .257 hitter on the year. Rough season for Edmonds, and you have to wonder if he'll ever be the same after crashing into the wall at U.S. Cellular Field against the White Sox in Chicago. Suffered what would later be discovered as a concussion. I didn't know that at the time. Limited to 110 games this season, and his numbers really down this year. .257 this year, 19 home runs, a big dip from last year, and really the year before that is really when Edmonds came on like gangbusters. .301 average, 42 home runs, 111 RBI. So we hope that Jim Edmonds can find that hitting stroke. But I tell you what, between that and his field in the outfield right now, we don't even recognize Jim Edmonds here tonight. Edmonds batting from the left side and a base hit up the middle. Edmonds on first, and Scott Rowland is at the plate. Rowland batting from the right side, .296 hitter this year, 22 home runs, 95 RBI. Maddox from the stretch. Maddox's pitch is swatted to center, and the center fielder took his eye off the ball. What is going on in Atlanta, folks? I don't know if there's a laser pointer out there, but look at Otis Nixon, because he is not looking at the baseball. It will be a base hit for Rowland. Edmonds on second. And Jim Edmonds has to be thinking, good, I'm not the only one to do this. And that brings up Preston Wilson. And this is a statement I will say, and then you're going to wonder if you're a family tree or a lineage kind of person. I'm going to say this once, and you do the math on this. Preston Wilson, the nephew and stepson of Mookie Wilson. Edmonds on second, Rowland on first, Preston Wilson at the plate. Maddox from the stretch, and he hit him. He hit him. So Wilson to first, and the bases are now loaded. Maddox is in trouble with Yadier Molina at the plate. Yadier Molina, part of a very proud baseball family. Dad played baseball. Two brothers are major league players as well. Molina behind in the count. The 0-2 dropped in for a called strike. Second K on the night for Maddox. 89-mile-an-hour fastball just nicking the strike zone. And now it's Aaron Miles. Bases loaded, 2 out. Infield will play back. Maddox on the 1-1. And he hit him. 2-hit batsman. A run comes in. There's nowhere to put him. Miles going the extra mile, taking one for the team. So Miles drives in a run the hard way, folks. As Maddox plunked him. It came on a circle change, so it didn't hurt that much. But he leaned into it, and a run comes in, and it's a 3-2 game. We are going to get a pinch hitter now as Tony La Russa is going to go to the bench. And he's going to a guy that he knows very well from his Oakland A's days. Yeah, Scott Spezio, former A, former Angel, former Mariner. Scott Spezio will pinch hit for Chris Carpenter in the number 9 spot in the order. Spezio with the bases loaded. 2 out. Maddox from the stretch looks in for the sign. He's ready. Berryhill's ready. Here's the pitch. 1-2. Fly ball center field. And the catch is made. Cardinals down by 1. And it's a 3-2 ball game as we head to the bottom of the 6th. And folks, welcome back to Monday Night Baseball here with Dr. Dynastic here on Out of the Park Developments. And we got a great one here. 3-2 game at Atlanta Fulton-County Stadium. We got a new pitcher now as the Cardinals go to the bench to pinch hit for Chris Carpenter. Scott Spezio came into the ball game, and now Braden Looper will pitch on this Beetle Boy 911 emergency call to the bullpen. Looper moving over from a closer position last year to now a setup role this year. Looper putting up a 3.56 ERA. He was the closer for Florida with the Marlins, and then after that the Mets, and now a setup man with a 3.56 ERA in 69 appearances. Braden Looper, right-hander, comes in, which means we can officially close the books now on Chris Carpenter. Carpenter's final line for the 2006 Cardinals: 5 innings, 7 hits, 3 runs, 1 walk, and 2 strikeouts. And it will be David Justice now to lead off. Monster season for Justice here in 1993. 270 average, 40 home runs, 120 RBI. That's an MVP caliber season. Wound up finishing 3rd in the MVP ballot. Barry Bonds winning MVP honors. Lenny Dykstra the runner-up. And Justice 3rd in the Hall of Fame ballot this year. And rocking, might I add, an epic soul patch. 3-1 offering on the way to Justice. He'll look at that offering for ball 4. So that's how the 6th inning will start. Justice aboard with a leadoff base on balls. Talking about MVPs and MVP candidates, the Braves do have an MVP in Terry Pendleton. 1991 most valuable player in the National League. 319 average, led the league. And the improvement from Terry Pendleton in that year when he hit 319, pretty unbelievable. When you look what he did in St. Louis in the year prior, 230 average. Folks, that average jumped by 81 points here in his first year with Atlanta. Led the league in hits that year in 1991, and then did it again last year, 1992. This year, numbers down slightly, but still a respectable 272. Terry Pendleton at the plate with 1 on, nobody out. Looper's pitch is going to fall in for a base hit. So Pendleton wheels around first, and Justice is safe at 3rd. Base hit to right field, and the Braves are cooking here in the bottom of the 6th. Pendleton on first now. Justice on 3rd for Damon Berryhill. Berryhill on the 1-1. Damon, fly to center. Edmonds tracking it, makes the catch, throws home, and not in time. Molina could not apply the tag in time. David Justice comes in to score on a bang-bang play. That will be a sacrifice fly here as Justice comes in, and it's a 4-2 Atlanta lead. Atlanta this year will be its final year playing in the National League West. Geographically speaking, the move back east makes a lot of sense. And this move now make a lot more sense for the San Francisco Giants. They'll be very happy to see that. Because, of course, here in this 1993 season, don't need to tell you, the San Francisco Giants won 103 games. The Braves won 104 games. They won the West by 1 game. Imagine winning 103 games and not going to the postseason. That is what happened to the San Francisco Giants in 1993. Pendleton on first for Mark Lemke. The 2-1. Grounder through the left side. Base hit past the shortstop. So Pendleton advances to second. Mark Lemke with a single. And now it's Deion Sanders. Now you wouldn't know it by looking at him, but Neon Deion is in the lineup as he will pinch hit. Of course, a two-sport standout playing in the NFL, not far from here. Actually, right here for the Atlanta Falcons. Prime time, ready to deliver. He'll pinch hit here with 2 on and 1 out. Looper from the stretch to Deion. Deion lifts a fly ball right field. It will be caught by Duncan. Runner tagging, and Pendleton is in at third. He is safe. So Sanders lifts a fly ball out to right, and it moves Pendleton to third. Lemke remains at first. 2 down for Otis Nixon. Nixon on the 0-2. Grounder right side. Pujols makes the play, but not in time. Run comes in. 5-2 Braves. Another look here. Just a little bit late with that throw. Looper came off the mound. He was ready for it. It looked like Pujols might have bobbled it a little bit. Official ruling will be base hit. So Lemke to second, Nixon to first on an infield single. And now it's 5-2 Atlanta. 1993 Braves. And now Jeff Blauser is at the plate. Blauser on the 2-1. Fly ball, left field, and that will do it. 2 runners stranded. But at the end of 6, Atlanta now with its largest lead yet, 5-2, 1993 Braves leading the 2006 St. Louis Cardinals in this Hall of Fame bash. New pitcher, we're going to get a Beetle Boy 911 emergency call to the bullpen. So Mark Wohlers comes on in relief. We'll get to his stats on the year in just a moment. Hard throwing reliever comes on in relief of Mad Dog. Greg Maddux, his night, folks, is over. Greg Maddux, his final line. 6 innings, 6 hits, 2 runs, both earned. He did walk 1 and struck out 2. So Bobby Cox decides to go to the bullpen and put the game in the hands of Mark Wohlers. Pitches in the high 90s, lively fastball. Also throws a slider and a splitter. 4.50 ERA this year. Numbers markedly up from last year. His first full season in the bigs where he had a 2.55 ERA. So Wohlers coming out of the bullpen into the frying pan. He'll take the top of the order here for the 2006 Cardinals. David Eckstein leading off. Eckstein still looking for his first base hit, but not looking for any more facial hair. He's got his best Tom Selleck going on right now. Eckstein ahead in the count 3-0. And I must ask you a question. Are you ready for a walk? David Eckstein is. So your 2006 Cardinals have the leadoff man aboard. Eckstein, speed demon when he burst on the scene in 2001. Career high 29 steals for the Angels that year. And now he is on first. His stolen base numbers down this year. 7 swipes in 13 attempts. And now that will do it for Wohlers. So Wohlers pitching to just one batter, and now they want the lefty versus lefty matchup. So Bobby Cox channeling his inner Tony La Russa here. Even Tony's looking across going, yep, game, respect, game. We've got a lefty versus lefty matchup. Mike Stanton in another emergency call to the bullpen brought to you by Beetle Boy 911. Stanton, 27 saves this year, and he'll pitch from the stretch against the left-handed hitting Chris Duncan. Duncan at the plate, 0 for 2 so far. And Stanton looks in for the sign. Here's the 2-2. Fly ball, right field at the track, at the wall, and gone! Chris Duncan has the Cards back in this. A 2-run shot out to right. It's 5-4. Let's take another look at that one. That replay being brought to you by ESCV, the ultimate destination in baseball escapism. On a hanging curveball, took it out of the park. Chris Duncan up against Mike Stanton. And the lead is now down to 1. Stanton will now face Albert Pujols with the bases empty. Albert 1 for 3 here tonight. Albert Pujols facing a long journey to get here to the major leagues. Unheralded, playing community college baseball, 13th round pick, 402nd overall pick. Interesting to note, too, that Tampa Bay had eyes for Albert. In fact, one of their scouts, Fernando Arango, recommended the team sign this guy, put him in a Rays uniform. The Devil Rays declined. They took a pass on Pujols. Guess what happened to that scout? He quit. Can't blame him one bit. Albert Pujols now behind in the count on 0-2. Grounds this to third. Pendleton all over that one. Throws to first. McGriff is going to make that catch. Pujols is down. And now we'll get another pinch hitter here. Interesting call from Tony La Russa. And this might be a message for Jim Edmonds. Edmonds, who had been struggling in the outfield, clearly distracted on 2 plays in particular. Well, Tony's had enough of Jim Edmonds, and in comes Juan Encarnacion. Coming over from the Florida Marlins, 278 hitter this year, 19 home runs, 79 RBI. So Encarnacion comes into the ball game for Edmonds. Up against Mike Stanton. Here's the 1-2 to Juan, and Juan gets a base hit to center. So a pinch hit single. And suddenly, the Cards have the game-time run on first and the go-ahead run at the plate. Scott Rowland now digs in against Mike Stanton. Cutaway shot of Greg Maddux. Cannot be happy right now after leaving this game with a 4-run lead. 3-run lead, I beg your pardon. And now that lead down to 1. Scott Rowland. Chance to now tie this ball game potentially. 2-2 pitch. Grounder up the middle. Shortstop takes it. Blauser's throw to first. 2 down. So could not get the lead runner Encarnacion at second. And Preston Wilson now at the plate. Wilson first pitch swinging, high fly ball, left field, and Gant is there. And that takes us to the 7th inning stretch in Atlanta. All right, 7th inning stretch. Brought to you by Memesa. You want memes? You want pizza? Check out Memesa, where everything is just Memesa. If you like your own custom read during a broadcast here on my channel and right here on OOTP Developments, Cotton Candy, check out my stream, DR Dynastic on Twitch. All right, here we go. Bottom of the 7th, coming out of the 7th inning stretch. And Ron Gant will lead off for the Braves, whose lead has now evaporated down to just 1. Gant, McGriff, Justice, your 3, 4, 5 hitters here in the 7th. Gant hitless in 3 at-bats so far. Gant flies this one to right, going the other way, and making the grab is Duncan, 1 down. Fred McGriff, what a midseason acquisition he has been for Atlanta. Scuffling a little bit were the Braves. Then they get McGriff in that trade with San Diego. Afterwards, Tony Gwynn, longtime Padre, Mr. Padre, asked for comment. He was a little bit miffed about that. Couldn't believe that all they got for Fred McGriff, future Hall of Famer, MVP candidate, Fred McGriff, was 3 players and a bag of peanuts. And they never even got the bag of peanuts. McGriff, monster season. His numbers with Atlanta, 310, 19 home runs, and lighting a fire quite literally under this Braves lineup. And as we mentioned earlier in the broadcast, right here at Atlanta Fulton-County Stadium. Now, he's no pyromaniac, folks, but something about Fred McGriff really lit a fire under these Braves. Torrid finish, overtaking the Giants to win the West. And then on the day that he would make his debut as a Brave, this press box that I'm in right now caught fire, quite literally. What a good omen for the Braves. So here's McGriff. McGriff gets into that one. Fly ball left field, but this one is coming back as Wilson makes the catch. And McGriff still hitless as he is retired. Now here comes David Justice. Justice 1 for 2 on the evening. Here's the 2-1. Justice lifts a fly to left. Busy man Preston Wilson. He'll make the catch at the end of 7. 1993 Atlanta Braves leading the 2006 St. Louis Cardinals 5-4. Bottom of the order for the Cards in the top of the 8th. Molina, Miles, and Looper, though you do have to think that Tony La Russa will pinch hit for Looper in the 9 spot in the order. Yachty at the plate here on the 1-0. Molina, fly ball, center field. Nice diving, sliding catch by Otis Nixon. Another look here on the replay. Dandy of a play. And we are getting an update here on the out-of-town scoreboard brought to you by Cubs fan 23 Steve. And we're getting word that Minerva has just pulled the future legend Ellie De La Cruz. Minerva, it was nice knowing you. We'll see you in Diamond. Congratulations. Aaron Miles now steps into the batter's box. Interesting story about Aaron Miles. You'd have to go back to his playing days in 2000. Spring training with Houston. In a hotel, several teammates. Aaron Miles in an adjoining room. Armed gunmen combusting through the hotel room, holding his teammates at gunpoint, robbing them of their belongings. Miles, not knowing what's going on, joins the fray, and somewhere in that, Aaron Miles gets into it and wrestles one of the gunmen to the floor. And then during that exchange, police showing up at the scene, at the hotel during spring training for the Houston Astros, and that gunman was shot by a police officer. The gunman, by the way, the robber did survive, But Aaron Miles getting into a tussle at the team hotel, one of those stories that if it wasn't in Wikipedia, you wouldn't believe it. And the fact that it's in Wikipedia, you're not quite sure 100% if it's true, but it's good enough for us. 2-1 the count now. Stanton's pitch is grounded into the hole. Shortstop Blauser is there. Throws to first. And Miles is out. We'll now get a pinch hitter here. So Taguchi will pinch hit. So Taguchi, 266 hitter on the year for the Cardinals. He'll come in. And that means Braden Looper's night will be over. Makes sense. We saw this move coming. Taguchi now pinch hitting with nobody on, 2 out. Stanton, though, has the count full, 3-2, taken for ball 4. So Taguchi draws the 2-out walk. That is going to do it now. Another 911, a Beetle Boy 911 emergency call to the bullpen. Greg McMichael now comes in. Greg McMichael comes out of the bullpen. Atlanta now with its 3rd reliever, 4th pitcher overall, desperately clinging to a 1-run lead. Taguchi is on first. He does have some steal, folks. 11 steals this past season, caught stealing just 3 times. You have to think he may have the green light here. 2 down, David Eckstein now at the plate. David Eckstein up against Greg McMichael. He'll take that for ball 4. So another base runner. First Taguchi, now Eckstein, and setting the table for Chris Duncan. Duncan already with a 2-run home run in this one. Chris Duncan, youngest son of the St. Louis pitching coach Dave Duncan, longtime right hand of the skipper Tony La Russa. In fact, their relationship dating all the way back to their Kansas City A's days. They were teammates. Chris Duncan's father, Dave, was a catcher in the organization. Tony La Russa, longtime minor league player, cup of coffee or 2 with the A's, now a longtime bond as coach. Tony, the manager, Dave, the pitching coach, and now Duncan's son, Chris Duncan, in the at-bat of his life. 2 on, 2 out. And Chris Duncan at the plate against Greg McMichael. The 0-2 pitch. High fly ball, deep center field, off the wall. That'll score 1. Another run rounding 3rd. And they will hold the runner. But we are tied. RBI double. Chris Duncan. It's 5-5. Boy, he got a hold of that one. All the way to the wall. Run comes in. 5-5 as Duncan delivers again. Now that sets the stage for Albert Pujols. MVP at the plate. 2 aboard. Tie ball game. Top of 8. 1993 Braves, who led by as many as 3, now in a 5-5 deadlock with the 2006 St. Louis Cardinals. And the legend himself, Albert, at the plate. First pitch on the way to Pujols. They will walk him intentionally. That is the right call. The fans here a little bit miffed at that one, but you have to pitch around the game's deadliest hitter. Now we're going to play the what-if game. Because St. Louis did have Jim Edmonds in the spot in the order. They swapped out Edmonds for Juan Encarnacion. So Encarnacion with the bases loaded, 2 out in a 5-5 ball game. Here's the 0-1. Juan lifts a fly ball, left field, diving grab by Gantz! My, oh my, Gant laying out, makes the catch, and saves the game. We head to the bottom of the 8th in Atlanta with a game tied at 5. Jeff Suppan on in relief in this one as we get you ready now for Monday Night Baseball. Ryan Klesko will pinch hit as we start the bottom of the 8th. Ryan Klesko, 0 for 14, his rookie year, 1992. This year, much different story. 353 average, 6 hits in 17 at-bats, 2 round trippers. Ryan Klesko, the up-and-coming star for the Braves. And he'll take on Jeff Suppan. Count is 2-0 to Klesko. Klesko grounds it right side. Pujols is all over that one. He makes the play, 1 down. Damon Berryhill now at the plate. Berryhill batting from the left side. And Damon Berryhill had a chance to play the role of hero, folks. Go back to last year's World Series against Toronto. You guessed it, game-winning 3-run home run for the Bravos in Game 1 of that World Series. What will he do here? And an even bigger game, Monday Night Baseball on Out of the Park Baseball. There's no game bigger than this, not even the World Series. Count is 2-2 to Berryhill, the former Cub. Weak ground ball to short. Eckstein will make the play, throws to first. Quickly 2 down. And Mark Lemke now steps in. Lemke, the second baseman, hit safely once in 3 at-bats so far. Lemke with a little tapper back to Pujols at first. And the side is retired. Heading to the 9th in Atlanta. Scott Rowland coming up. So Scott Rowland will lead off for the St. Louis Cardinals, who have rallied back, scoring in each of the last 4 innings. A run in the 5th, another in the 6th, 2 in the 7th, 1 in the 8th, and now that sets the table for a 5-5 tie here in the 9th. Rowland, Wilson, Molina, scheduled batters for the Cards. I'd love to get a win here against the 1993 Braves. Greg McMichael from the windup. 1-1. Rowland. High fly ball. Deep right field at the track and caught by Justice. Boy, oh boy. I thought that was going to leave the yard. Warning track power for Scott Rowland there. He is retired. We will get a pinch hitter now. Preston Wilson out and John Rodriguez in. 28-year-old hit .301 during the regular season. 183 at-bats, 12 doubles, 3 triples, 2 home runs. So a little bit of pop here from the pinch hitter, John Rodriguez. He's got the count full, 3-2. He takes strike 3 looking. A chest safari strikeout. 2 down as Greg McMichael tries to make quick work of the Cards. Well, we mentioned Yadier Molina and his lineage here in Major League Baseball. Father played second base as an amateur in Puerto Rico. 10-hour days he worked at the factory in Puerto Rico as a tools technician. Raised his boys, Yadier, Benji, Jose, each, by the way, after Yadi won this 2006 World Series, all of them with World Series rings. Not many families can say they have 3 boys and 3 World Series rings. Molina, first pitch offering to him as he grounds it to first. We'll have a throw over to the bag as McMichaels is covering. And we've got a Sid Bream sighting, by the way. So Sid Bream has found his way onto the field and now into the lineup. Fred McGriff, my friends, is out of the game. Sid Bream is in. On the weekend after, we celebrate Fred McGriff being inducted into the Hall of Fame. He is out of our Hall of Fame Bash. So Sid Bream steps in. Longtime former Pittsburgh Pirate, former Dodger, spent the last 3 years in St. Louis. So he will, in Atlanta. So Sid Bream will bat against Jason Isringhausen. Izzy to pitch the bottom of the ninth. Try to keep this game tied at 5-5. Bream at the plate. On the 1-0. Isringhausen's pitch. High fly ball, center field, base hit. So Sid Bream with a leadoff single. And the game-winning run now stands at first. And Otis Nixon at the plate. Otis already 3 hits in 3 at-bats so far. See what he does here in at-bat number 4. First pitch to Otis. Otis with a fly to center. Otis Nixon delivers! That is a walk-off. Otis Nixon with a 2-run homer in the Battle of the Hall of Famers. It's a light-hitting Otis Nixon who delivers in the Hall of Fame Bash. A walk-off on Monday Night Baseball. The 1993 Atlanta Braves 7, the 2006 St. Louis Cardinals 5. Another look here on the walk-off that sends the Braves into a frenzy. A walk-off 2-run homer for the 1993 Braves. And Otis Nixon delivering in the bottom of the ninth, lifting the Braves to the 7-5 victory on Monday Night Baseball.